again, right now is a good time. I would like to bring up Misty. If you would come up with me and Misty Rich, let's go ahead and do the scholarship winners right now. We've got something to present. We're going to give them all the very ever so coveted golden ruler to measure your future success. So I'll say that in advance. So you guys are going to have this, and it's a treasured item, right? But if you would like to, and yeah, why don't you go ahead and mention it, Misty?
Okay, so I'm stepping in because Brenda Rogers usually runs this committee, and I agreed to, and a lot of us agreed to help out. She's still in Alaska, so we want to put her and her husband in our prayers as they're dealing with some issues, and hopefully they'll be home very soon with us. So, but we want to welcome all of our scholarship winners and their families, and I'm glad that you were able to join us today. So, I want to make sure I go in the same order as the slides.
Good, yeah. I've got you. We've got the
Oh, you've got the order?
same list.
All right.
Why don't you go ahead and announce?
Okay, so our first scholarship winner, and this is for $1,000, and you'll get the information. This will go directly to your school. So Mia Figueroa, recent graduate from Bradenton Christian School, planning on going to Palm Beach Atlantic University to study English.
We'll have Mia. Why don't you come on up to the podium
come on
here?
up. Now, Mia was a 4-year Key Club member. She was also secretary of the National Honor Society, a 5-year varsity member of the soccer team, started in 8th grade, and 2 years as the captain and MVP for the soccer team as well.
Get a picture with this guy right here. From this guy. Did you get it? Okay. And Mia, if you would, congratulations. Just stand right over there and we'll have all the scholarship winners line up afterwards.
Yes. And so next, we're going to ask Miss Ellie Johnson to come up. Now, Ellie, recent graduate of Palmetto High School, going to Florida Gulf Coast University to study social work. So 4 years as a member of the Key Club and served as their webmaster and president. She was in the National Honor Society and also founded a book club and an orchestra violinist.
Yay!
Next, we're going to ask Giles Kirkland to join us. Giles, also from the Bradenton Christian School, is going to the University of South Carolina in Columbia to study international business and finance. So 2 years with the Key Club, but served as vice president. He was also the president of the National Honor Society and the Beta Club, and also a student government representative and part of the Junior Leadership Manatee Advisory Board. Oh, next we're going to ask Colson Crott to join us, also from Bradenton Christian School, heading to Auburn University to study finance and business management. There's many honors, including the Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Award, and member of the National Honor Society, the Beta Club, Junior Leadership Manatee, and captain of the varsity golf team, the varsity soccer team, and the varsity baseball team. Hey, next, Tegan Muntz, would you join us? Also from the Bradenton Christian School, heading to Florida State University to study environmental science. Tegan is a 4-year Key Club member, part of the National Honor Society, Junior Leadership Manatee, athletics. She's part of the Florida Top Dog All-Star Cheerleading Team and Varsity Cross Country Club.
Congratulations.
Gabrielle Riviere, will you join us? Oh, there she is. Now Gabrielle's from Manatee High School, heading to the University of Florida to study wildlife ecology and conservation. Four-year Key Clubber, served as the editor and Division 17 Lieutenant Governor. She's part of the National Honor Society and the Vice President of the Environmental Ocean Awareness Club. Isel Villa Herrera. Hi. I want to welcome Isel. She went to Parish Community High School, but is heading to Florida State University to study nursing. 3 years in the Key Club and served as a secretary, part of Junior Leadership of Manatee, and part of the Future Leaders Academy and Lead Now with Unidos Now. Next, we're going to ask Audrey Yanovich from Manatee High School graduate, heading to the University of Florida to study aerospace engineering. 4-year Key Club and served as the chair of the Governor's Project Committee and recognized as a distinguished Key Club member 2 years in a row. And last, but definitely not least, is Leah Grace Young. Please join us. She's a graduate from Bradenton Christian School, but heading to the University of Tampa to study athletic training. 4 years in the Key Club, National Honor Society and Beta Club, high academic honors, varsity weightlifting and lacrosse.
Good.
We're good.
Misty, thank you very much. I want to let all the, as we're taking some pictures of it, well, I'll wait just a minute, where I have their full attention.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lemoyne.
Yeah.
Oh, we get Mac too. Scholarship winners, you will be notified here shortly. Okay, we'll have actual scholarships be sent to your respective schools, and that will be dispersed out to you here before you get started in college. But on behalf of the entire group of Bradenton Kiwanis, which is one of the largest in the country, certainly the largest in Florida, congratulations. We're proud to see what you all are doing and what you've accomplished. And with those golden rulers, measure your future success. So congratulations. Parents and family, congratulations to you guys too. I'd like to, Judge Smith, did you want to say anything ahead of time, or are we going, we good going into the program? Yeah, we don't need to. We're okay. We're okay, Gilbert, up here. I would like for you to.
Why don't you introduce Sonya, and then I'll come up for just 1 minute.
That'd be great. Past presidents can do anything. Right, Brett? You're over there nodding your head. I'd like to introduce Sonya Johnson with Parents for Parents. Parents for Parents is a group within NAMI, Sarasota, and Manatee Counties, the National Alliance on Mental Illness. And Sonya is the peer coordinator. And there's a lot of, there's members within, there's a couple judges here today that are very familiar with what they're involved with. And so, Sonya, I'd like to invite you up to the podium so we can hear a little bit about Parents to Parents. And I think Judge Smith has got a few words too, because you're the one that introduced us to Sonya in the first place. So, Gilbert, thank you.
Judge Malucci and I are both in the dependency division, and we deal with families and children who have been removed from their parents. And oftentimes it is so important for there to be success that is going to start from the beginning in an unfortunate situation. Now, there are a lot of judges here, Sonya, so these judges that are in the audience, besides Judge Malucci, you may see later in your years in your career and with Parents for Parents program. So before Sonya comes up, I do want to tell you, because Judge Malucci and I have talked about this, oftentimes we hear statistics with respect to how many parents are reunited with their children, and they can be as low as 40% of the children that come under care that are removed from their parents. But the success that the parents are going to succeed depends on them working what we call a case plan, being optimistic, seeing that there are people that want to help and they have hope. And Sonya does that, and she's going to tell you how she does that with her own story. But without people like Sonya, a lot of these parents would not succeed. So she's basically saving these children's lives as well as these parents. So Sonya, come on up.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sonya Johnson, and first I just want to say thank you so much to Judge Smith for inviting me here to speak, and to the Kiwanis Club for giving me the opportunity to share not only my story, but also about the great work that NAMI is doing in our community. So again, my name is Sonya Johnson. I'm the lead peer coordinator with NAMI of Sarasota and Manatee counties. I oversee our Parents for Parents program, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But first, I would like to share a little bit of my lived experience and what led me to this program in the first place. So I always like to begin by telling people that I'm in recovery from a lot of things. I don't think that recovery is sort of a narrow thing, as oftentimes we think of recovery as just from somebody in substance use or somebody who struggled with addiction. But for me, my recovery is very broad. I've experienced a lot of things in my life. And so I like to just capture that all in my recovery. But especially where it pertains to substance misuse and mental health challenges, I think it's very important to know that my story began with trauma. And I will spare you all of the details of my trauma today, but what I will tell you is that I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor of domestic violence, physical abuse, sexual abuse, grief, loss, and among many other things. And so when I found substances in my younger years, which it's so amazing to see teens here that are on the right path, so kudos to you. I'm so proud of all of you. And so when I found substances at a younger age, around the teenage years, it seemed like the solution to me back then. It made me feel like I could fit in, I was part of the crowd. It gave me this invisible coat of armor, but it was the great deception, because very quickly it led me to a place where I was unmanageable and life was not going well. I was in my first Baker Act by the time that I was 18 years old, going through my first incarceration by the time I was 18 years old. And so I knew there was a problem at a pretty young age. So I tried to do a lot of different things to manage the problem. I tried moving away. In recovery, we call that geographical changes. I tried medications, substitutions, moderations, and no matter what I tried, it always left me in the same place, which was the unmanageability and the powerlessness and just essentially a rock bottom. And so when I was about 21 years old, I met my husband, and I thought that would be the answer to all of my problems. And in the beginning, it was. We've been married for coming up on 17 years now. And so we got married, we had 2 beautiful children together, and life was really, really good for a little while. But what I did not do was I never addressed that underlying trauma. And so after a few years of being a stay-at-home mom, my husband worked very hard, provided for us, protected us, took care of us, and I took care of the kids at home. I was searching for something that was sort of missing from within, this gap or hole in my heart, if you will. And so what that led me back to was misusing substances. And it wouldn't be long after that before I was having my first interaction with the Department of Children and Families. My husband eventually caught me using. He joined in with me. Then my neighbor caught me, and she called the Department of Children and Families on me. And by all rights, the department did everything that they could to help keep my children in home with me. They offered me a voluntary, non-judicial case plan. As long as I was willing to comply with services, they were willing to work with me. me. And so I did all the things that they asked me to do. I did the parenting classes, the substance use classes, I met with my case manager, I did the drug screens, I checked the boxes. But what I did not do was I did not make any real behavioral changes. I was just flying by in the skin of my teeth, falsifying everything, like just trying to get away with it. And so they knew that I wasn't really making any changes. They could tell, it was pretty obvious to everyone around me that my life wasn't changing. And so about 8 months in, my husband and I had to make a really hard decision because we knew that we were not going to be able to make it through this successfully. And so we decided for the safety of our children, it would be best to go send the kids to live with my mom for a while because she could keep them safe and she could take care of them and keep them out of the foster care system. But what that did to both my husband and I was that sent us spiraling sort of out of control. I just hated myself so much because I couldn't understand why couldn't I stop using for my kids. I mean, I loved them so much more than anything in the world, but I couldn't stop using for them. And so that sent me spiraling back into institutions and detoxes and incarcerations. My husband almost lost his life from a complication from drug use called endocarditis. And it sent us into the darkest years of my addiction. Until finally, in July of 2018, I got the best birthday present ever. But at the time, I did not think it was a good birthday present. I got a present in the form of 2 silver handcuffs. And I will be honest, I was really mad at the cop that arrested me that night. I'm like, it's my birthday. You couldn't give me a break tonight? But, in hindsight, I'm glad that he did that because that led to the sequence of events in my life that eventually led me into recovery. And it wasn't just a one and done and I was fixed. I needed to go in and out of jail a few times to figure out that this is not the life that I want to live. And on one of my arrests, while I was on probation, I violated probation in the probation office, and my probation officer called the Department of Children and Families on me because although my mom did have my kids, I still had legal custody of them, which put them in an unsafe situation. And that started a judicial case plan. For the first few months, I didn't know what to do, so I didn't do anything. I just stuck my head in the sand and ran from my problems and did what I always did, until eventually I was arrested again. July of 2019 was the last time that I was arrested. I found myself in the Sarasota County Jail where I had custody of my kids taken away. I was facing multiple violations, multiple charges. Nobody would talk to me. I wasn't allowed to speak to my kids. And when I look back on that now, I call that my gift of desperation. It was such a miserable time. But I'm so grateful for it because it really gave me the insight. Even today, when I look back on that, I don't ever have to go back there as long as I don't pick up one day at a time. And so I found myself in the place in this jail that they called the recovery pod. And while I was in the recovery pod, things really started to change because I finally, for the first time in my life, met people who were in recovery. And they showed me that there was a new way to live, and they had lost custody of their children, and they had been an inmate in the jail, and they had been through everything that I had been through. And yet they found a new way to live, and they were allowed to come in the jail and then leave when they were done, which was something that was so foreign to me at the time. And these women had everything that I wanted, but I just couldn't figure out how to obtain. And they told me that they would help me as long as I was willing to do the work and take the steps that they took. And so I did. And so one day I had court, and one of the women with lived experience showed up in court for me, and she advocated for me, and I got a chance to go to treatment. So instead of going to prison, I got an opportunity to not only stay out of prison, but to work on getting my kids back. And by the time I got to treatment, I was willing to do literally anything that I had to do. If I needed to learn how to do cartwheels and ballroom dancing in order to get this, I was gonna do it. And so I took all of the suggestions and I did the next right thing, and I learned how to, not use one day at a time and to completely turn my life around. Throughout that time period, my husband was going on his own journey into recovery. He had a very similar path, but parallel to mine. And so when I got out of treatment, I went to sober living. My husband went to sober living. We worked our case plan. We did everything. And those women that said they would be there for me, they were every step of the way. I did the work. They provided the support. And so my husband and I were reunified with our children on April 8th of 2020, and they've been home with us now for a little over 5 years. They're now 15 and 16 years old, and I am so happy to report they were nothing like me when I was their age. My oldest wants to go into law enforcement, and my youngest is very athletic, plays football, baseball, and every other kind of ball that he could possibly have. And I'm so proud of them, and we have such a great relationship today. And it did not start out that way, right? Like, I had to earn their trust back, and I had to accept responsibility for my actions, and I had to work to make things right. But my husband and I now, we're homeowners, we're business owners, and everything is just absolutely amazing. Last year, I was awarded the Florida Institute of Child Welfare Professional of the Year Award, and I got with NAMI about 3 years ago. I'm coming up on 3 years now. When I first heard about NAMI, I should say that it found me, because a girlfriend of mine reached out to me and she's like, we're starting this really great program and I think that you would be so good for it. We're going to help parents who've lost custody of their kids. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never heard of such a thing. Send me the job description. I would love to take a look at it. And so she sent the job description over, and I remember reading it and just crying, because I could not imagine that there was really something out there like this for parents. When I was going through this process, not to say that this is true, but when I was going through this process, the way it felt to me was that everybody was against me and everybody was pointing the fingers, and I had done so many things wrong and I could never turn it around. So to be able to walk up to a parent right after they go through that initial hearing, the shelter hearing, and say to them, hey, I've been in your shoes before. You're not a bad person. You're not a bad parent. We all make mistakes. But if you're willing to do the work, I'm willing to walk beside you. And if you're not willing to do the work yet, I'll sit with you here in the dark until you are. It's just been the most transformative thing that I have ever done. And so I very excitedly got into this, and it has just been the most meaningful and sometimes challenging thing that I have ever done before. And so it's been 3 years. We're now into Manatee County. I'm so grateful to be in Manatee County. And now I'm going to tell you a little bit more about NAMI and our peer-led programs. All right, so I would like for you guys to all kind of take a moment and just reflect on the biggest crisis of your life. Who did you turn to in that time? Who did you ask for help? Whose opinion did you trust? Oftentimes, we turn to help for people because we know that we're going to go to them and they won't judge us. We go to people who we know have been in our shoes before. We look for people with experience. And that is exactly what peer support is. Oh, sorry. Okay. Peer support is context specific. So the value of peer support is the shared experiences and commonality found within each other. But it's context specific. So if an individual is struggling with substance use challenges, then you would want to pair them with somebody who is in recovery from substance use challenges. If they're struggling with mental health challenges, then you would want to pair them with somebody who is in recovery from mental health challenges. For youth, you want to pair them with a youth who is in recovery themselves and can model those good recovery skills and coping skills and tools and a healthy lifestyle. Okay. All right. And peer support focuses on the relationship. The primary benefit of peer support is the unique relationship that develops between two people who have shared similar life experiences, which inspires hope through the connection that they have with each other. It is based upon 4 values. The values are mutuality, meaning giving and receiving support, which means basically I'm going to show up to this, but you're also going to show up, and we're going to do an equal amount of work together. I don't do things for you, we do them together. Empowerment, which is giving voice and choice to the individual experiencing challenges. Self-help, being empowered to manage one's own life and believing that that person can when they're put in the driver's seat. And then advocacy, which is working towards the change. what peer support is not. And I think this is important to share because the peer's role is very unique. It's not there to replace the case manager or the therapist or anybody else. Everybody has their role, and the peer's role is sort of complementary, if you will. So a peer does share their lived experience, but they do not give professional advice, especially when it comes to the Parents for Parents program. We do not want to be giving legal advice to anybody. It is a role model, not an expert authority figure. We are partners with the person to plan how to accomplish daily tasks, but we do not do the task for the person. We help them to find their basic necessities, but we do not provide basic necessities. We use language based upon common experiences, but we don't use clinical language or acronyms or jargon that may be above the individual's head. We support multiple pathways to recovery. Although I know my pathway to recovery, that may not be the same path that the other individual is on, and so we support whatever pathway they want to navigate to get there. We share our knowledge of local resources, but we do not provide case management services by prescribing the resources to them. We encourage, support, and praise, but we do not diagnose, assess, or treat. We help to set personal goals, but we do not mandate tasks or behaviors. And then we role model positive recovery behaviors, and we do not tell a person to lead their life. So just so you know, this is from the Florida DCF Handbook for Peer Services. Now I'm going to tell you a little bit about NAMI, now that I've shared a little about peer support. So NAMI stands for the National Alliance of Mental Illness. It is the largest grassroots mental health organization in the nation. It started back in 1979 with a group of family members who were frustrated because they had a loved one who was going through a mental health crisis, and they felt like they were trying to get all of the answers but just couldn't figure out how to support their family member. And a bunch of people gathered around the kitchen table and said, hey, we're going to support each other. And so that is really how NAMI originated, and then it became a 501c3 back in 1979, and they have several affiliates all over the United States. So if you know people other places in the United States that need support, there's an affiliate nearby. You can just look up NAMI.org. So NAMI Sarasota Manatee originated in 1984, which I'll never forget because it's the year I was born. And our affiliate here have been around for 40 years. We have several programs which are called signature programs that are unique to NAMI's. And then this particular NAMI has something very special, which is our peer programs. Specifically in Manatee, there's 4 programs that I want to focus on. We have our NAMI Family Peer Support Program, our Parents for Parents program, the Manatee Overdose Prevention and Education Program, and then our Peer Training Program. The NAMI Family Peer Support Program supports the whole family holistically. They pair the parent with a parent peer and the youth with a youth peer, and they will work with a family who has a youth or a young adult under the age of 25 who's experiencing a mental health challenge. It doesn't have to be diagnosed by a doctor. We need no prescriptions. You could just say, hey, I'm really struggling right now and I need some support, and we will pair that family to start to work together holistically and get everybody sort of on the same page. The Parents for Parents program specifically works with parents. We do not work with the children because the parents there's been a safety risk deemed in that family, right? And so we only work with the parents. And so in Sarasota County and in Manatee County, Judge Smith in Manatee will introduce the parent to us during the shelter hearing. And then after the shelter hearing, we'll reach out to the parent, kind of like I referenced a few minutes ago, and we will offer to support them along the way. We connect them to community resources. We educate them about the system through a class called Dependency 101, which teaches them how to work with the system instead of against the system. We teach them that everybody here has the same goal. We all want to get you reunified with your children, and these are the steps that we need to take in order to make that happen, essentially. We tell them what they're looking for, some tips and tricks from professionals, and then we support them throughout the process and kind of layer in that education information as we're working with them. And then we have our Manatee Overdose Prevention and Education Program. We have partnered with Manatee County on this initiative. They provide Narcan training and distribution, and we provide peer support to anybody who's experiencing a substance use challenge at risk for overdose or in recovery from substance use challenges. And then finally, we have our peer training program. So our peer training program is the 40-hour class that one would need in order to become a certified recovery peer specialist. So if you know anybody that is interested in this, we've actually done this with the Hillsborough County Police Department, so they can provide peer support to each other. Youth qualify, adults qualify, family members qualify. Anybody who has been impacted by substance use challenges, mental health challenges, veterans would qualify to be a peer. So we do the 40-hour class that through the Florida Department of Florida Certification Board. Okay, sorry. The Florida Certification Board requires, and then we also help people with their 500 hours that they need to give them on-the-job supervision so that they can become a certified recovery peer specialist. And I will end with a quote from Brené Brown. Connection is why we are here. We are hardwired to connect. It is what gives purpose and meaning to our lives. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to all of you today.
In the back, Hillary.
How many employees do you guys have?
We are a small but mighty team.
I was gonna say, those numbers are really good. They're impressive.
Yes, we have three full-time staff in the Parents for Parents program. NAMI as a whole has 26 staff members, but we are hoping to add another parent partner in the very near future for Manatee County.
Awesome. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Sonya, thanks. Wait, you can't leave yet. I know you're feeling kind of jealous at all the scholarship winners over there, but you get a golden ruler as well.
Thank you so
You're
much.
Look, thank you very much. Scholarship winners, again, congratulations. Thank you all for being here today. We're very proud of you, okay? And we look forward to the future. Come on back to Manatee County, right? After school. We need you over here. Next week, we will have 4-H speech contest winners, and we'll also have a brief presentation from Take Stock in Children. There is a board meeting here tomorrow, and I'll leave you with this, that with Memorial Day coming up, let's all take a moment, bow your heads. Think about the family and friends that you've had that have served, maybe made the ultimate sacrifice for us. This coming Monday, most of us are going to be off from work. And it's a time of reflection. It's a time to give thanks. It's a time to, again, bow our heads really and thank all our servicemen and women throughout the history of the United States. We're strong, and we're in the position right here where we can do some great things thanks to the sacrifices they made. I'm going to see if I can't play a little taps for us. If you would just bow your heads, maybe close your eyes, think about some of the people that have served for you. Please stand. Thank you very much, Frank. Please stand for it. Bow your heads. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.